Not all of us can afford the newest, flashiest motorcycle that just came out. That being said, 2025 is the year of the Power Plus for Indian motorcycle. However, the Power Plus has been with us since 2020 in the form of the original Challenger 108. In this video, I'm going to show you this beautiful 2022 Challenger Dark Horse and go over a few things that you should look for if you're buying one of these secondhand. I'm also going to take you for a ride so we can see how this bike performs. Now, I think there are a lot of great used motorcycles on the market. This is one of them, so let's get to it. Real quick, before we go any further, I want to thank Zaco Power Sports of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin for allowing me use of their space. Today is the 4th of July, and I'm here in the shop recording this video. This is their bike, one that they just got in. Awesome motorcycle, so I'm really flattered that they're allowing me to ride it. But they got a really nice selection of used motorcycles here on the floor. We got a lot of nice things, too, in the form of ATV side-by-sides and personal watercraft. So if you're in the market for any of those things, please give them a shout out. I got the link to their website in the description below. So thanks for checking this out and on to the video. So the Challenger has been with us for the last 5 years. Whether it's been winning championships at the King of the Baggers or winning shootouts between it and the Road Glide, the Challenger has become a very important model for Indian. With new models going for over $30,000 and some of them even touching $40,000, for many of us that might be more than we're willing to afford or even can afford. Luckily, there are many good examples of used Challengers available to us. Some I've even seen priced as low as $16,000. This one here is a 2022 Challenger Dark Horse Icon with some tasteful upgrades. Icon models are low production model units. This one, they figure around 50 of these were made in this color. And they feature rare colors that are probably only available for 1 year. This one here is called Riot Orange Smoke, and it's almost a middle finger to the brand across the street over there. Color aside, the 2022 Challenger Dark Horse has many great standard features. I'm talking features like cruise control, power windshield, LED lighting, the 7-inch ride command screen with navigation and Apple CarPlay, lean angle ABS, Brembo brakes, inverted front fork, and of course the powerful 108 cubic inch Power Plus engine that's producing 122 horsepower and 128 foot-pounds of torque. Now this bike comes in at 831 pounds when your 6-gallon fuel tank is full. It's comfortable for two and has a hydraulic monoshock in the rear that is adjustable. Now, buying used is a great way to get into a bike that already has upgrades while saving you money, and this bike has some very tasteful ones. Stuff like TLC custom highway bars, both front and rear, Clockworks windshield, Saddleman road sofa seat, a passenger backrest, the Hard Street saddlebag shelves, Indian Pinnacle grips, Indian Pinnacle pegs, both for the shifter and for the brake pedal. You have Indian Pathfinder lights, Indian Performance intake, Lloyd signature mufflers, a Lloyd's tune, and a really cool hidden upgrade, the electronic rear shock from a Pursuit. Now this is thousands of dollars in accessories if you were to buy them all new. And in my opinion, this bike is an example of how to customize your ride, but still keeping it appealing to the majority of riders. I can't tell you how many times I see used bikes come in for trade, and they're just too personalized where it actually hurts the value. Most of the accessories on here are subtle, but are enough to stand out in a crowd. Now buying used, especially from a private seller, can be scary. You don't know the history of the bike you're looking at, and you can only hope that it was maintained to your standards. In the case of the Challenger, they have been a pretty reliable platform. Now, they do have their own share of issues, which I'll cover a few of those here. First off is with the windshield. Now there is a bulletin for the gear stripping out and the windshield motor. This bike actually has that problem. Indian will cover it for an additional year after the original warranty period is up. Now this issue has been addressed on the newest ones, but it's a good thing to ask the owner about if you're looking at one secondhand. There's also a recall out there for an issue where the ABS module makes your brake lights come on when you're actually not using your brakes. Now I haven't seen that actually happen that much, but just so you know, it is out there. Now the next one's a pretty serious one, but it's likely already been fixed on all the affected bikes. This is on the 2024 models produced from February to June, and it was a faulty rear shock link that could actually break and lead to a loss of control of the motorcycle. I remember this when the bikes came out, and I'm sure that most of them were fixed at the dealerships before they were sold out new. Either way, it's an important one to know. Now, besides the recalls and bulletins, there's also the question of reliability from normal use and maybe a little abuse. I will say that for most of what I see as far as issues go, it's in the electronics. Most can be remedied with software updates or simple sensor replacements. Mechanically, I haven't seen any issues from the platform unless there is severe abuse. The engines have been great with some bikes in our customer base having over 50,000 trouble-free miles and climbing. There are even higher mileage examples out there outside of our dealer customer base with the same results. Now let's talk about some of the reasons that the Challenger is a great used bike option. First off, the performance. This bike really rocks when it comes to acceleration, handling, and braking, especially for a larger bigger. It's always fun to beat your Harley buddies 117 with a smaller engine. The suspension geometry allows this bike to carve corners better than most any other bigger out there. And the brakes help slow down this large bike better than you would think. Another reason is the ride quality. Since the release of the Polaris designed bikes back in 2014, Indian has always had a great ride. The Challenger takes this a step further with its premium offering of an inverted fork up front and a high quality long travel rear monoshock. Even with Harley's recent improvements, this older Indian is still king in the suspension department. Another reason is these are still a standout bike in a world full of black street glide and road glides. Now, I personally like having things that aren't the most popular, so when I go to a bike night or a special ride, there's always a sea of frame-mounted or fork-mounted Harley-Davidsons. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but this is one of the reasons that I prefer Indian. The brand itself has a rich history. They still are an American-made motorcycle, maybe even more American-made than Harley-Davidson right now. Plus, they offer things that Harley does for a little less money. Let's just take this thing out so I can show you what I mean firsthand. Well, we're starting this review after riding just a little bit just so I can get out. I'm going to go to a couple different places this time. We're heading to the highway right now to see how this fairing works. Now, one thing I'll say that sucks right off the bat, today is like in the lower 90s and it's really muggy out, so I'm warm. I'm wearing long sleeves to keep the sun off me because the last 3 weeks at work, short sleeves, I'm getting kind of dark, and sunscreen is one thing, but let's add some sleeves for some more protection. The contrary to popular belief, liquid cooled engines doesn't necessarily mean a cooler cycling experience, especially in the day of catalytic converters. Right down here, right below this leg is a catalytic converter, and I do feel the heat from that guy coming up a little bit. It's not unbearable, but it is definitely more noticeable on a day like today. And just something to keep in mind, especially if you're coming from an older cycle, pre-catalytic converter days. New stuff has cats. On Indians, they're right underneath your right thigh, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it a little bit, especially on a hot day. This is an upgraded seat. This Saddleman seat is really nice. It's comfortable. I think the stock Challenger seat is actually not that bad anyways, so I don't know if it's worth the little bit of money. It definitely style-wise, this looks cooler, this seat, but comfort-wise, not so much. And I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. It's not bad. It is absolutely comfortable. I just don't know if it's an upgrade enough for me to justify it. I would say, again, on a day like today, Indian offers a heated and cooled option, and that would be a really awesome thing to have today. That heated cooled seat works extremely well, and turn that cooling function on today would be a godsend. So now, this Lloyd's exhaust. When it comes to Challengers and exhaust, it's kind of a tricky thing because of the way that engine sounds. Thunderstroke, it's easier to get a louder sound out of it. Challengers, you really got to kind of, like Reinhardt's don't sound as good on a Challenger as they do on a Thunderstroke, I think. These sound pretty nice. They have a nice deep bass note to them. With this full face helmet on, I'm not as much of a fan. But it sounds pretty good, especially when you're going through the gears. It just, the concussiveness to it, I'm just not a fan of. I have some hearing issues as it is from past military stuff, and it's just not my forte. All right, we're on the highway right now, cruising 70, watching our 360 camera jiggle and wiggle. But let's get this guy. This guy don't know what he wants to do. I guess he's gonna get over, so we're gonna over here to set our cruise. All right, you can see the wind is coming up from the south. So right now I have these vents open so I don't die from heat exhaustion. This windshield is stuck in the up position. We still got to fix that. But and then he has the additional flares on either side to help kick the wind out. These guys down below are factory flares right there. But man, there's like very little air movement here. My head is not bobbing around at all. I don't have any annoying buffeting or anything like that. The fairing on the Challenger is a very nice fairing. It does a good job. You know, I have some aftermarket bits here helping. The Clockworks windshield is one of them, and of course those extra little kickers. I don't know who makes those. That might be an Indian accessory. I don't remember. But it's a pretty good. I'd say this thing does a good job of keeping the wind off you. So nice fairing design on the highway. If you're going to be cruising long miles on the highway, that's not my style of riding, but if it's yours, this fairing is going to do a nice job of keeping you protected from wind buffeting and everything else. Looks like we're still recording. All right, we're just about into the fun area, the start of the fun area. I think I'm finding a higher respect for the Challenger platform every time I ride it. And when I say the platform, I've always had a respect for the platform, but you know, I said on that last review when I was riding the Chieftain that I really preferred that. Now I do still, I think, like the overall look of it, but I'm starting to really like the way I fit in this cockpit. I have more miles on Chieftains than I do on Challengers, and this we might have to change that this year. I don't need a signal at this corner. This bike just lays over so nice. And with 122 horsepower, I mean, the way that this engine makes power, it has good torque down low, but it allows you to rev it all the way up above 6,000 RPM, which for a big twin, that's pretty impressive. That was my foot catching there. These brakes coming into some of these corners a little hot. These front Brembos really do a nice job of slowing me down. This area that I'm riding is just a little south of Eau Claire, and this is really kind of the start of what we call the driftless area. And you can see these hills and valleys, kind of the Midwest mountains. Definitely not elevation enough to be a mountain, but nice beautiful rolling hills, and just a gorgeous, I mean, look at that in the summertime, just a gorgeous area to ride. Unbelievable. And then of course in the fall during the color change, this is, I don't know if you can find a more beautiful place to enjoy motorcycle. Look at that old Valkyrie over there, big old 6-cylinder Honda. So we're gonna go the opposite way of that guy. And this is the type of riding that I do. When I go and enjoy myself and go ride, these are the kind of roads that I go to. And the thing about Wisconsin, there's so many roads like this. I mean, especially in the area that we're in right now. I mean, the driftless area is a pretty large area that encompasses most of the southern half and the eastern half of the state. So you get a lot of rolling hills, a lot of curvy roads. It's a fun spot to ride and play. And this is really just the tip of it right here. And a bike like this is right at home because you can hop on the highway, get to the best roads really quick, go enjoy them. Look at all that gravel there. Go enjoy them on something that still handles well, feels very nimble in the corners. you know, is super comfortable, because some of these roads that are fun like this aren't in the best shape. So the suspension on your bike has to really be able to handle a lot. And the suspension on this guy does handle a lot. It handles a lot of rough stuff really well. It keeps you, you know, good and safe. And I mean, it does a really nice job of keeping you comfortable. And then of course this 108 really has the power to pull out of corners. And I mean, it's incredible what these bikes like this nowadays are capable of doing. I will say some of these roads, these are mostly back roads, so there's some farm traffic, and there are corners that have bitten people in the ass because of the amount of gravel that is all of a sudden on there, because of, you know, farm machinery maybe hauling, and they're wide, so they're kicking the gravel off the side of the road onto the road, and over time it really accumulates. You know, a bunch of different reasons. But if you got a nice clean road, you know, right here we're getting a little choppier. We got some gravel right up here. Got a decent amount of gravel kicking out a little bit there, but they're not all normally like that. And you just got to be aware of it. And, you know, we're not racing anybody here. We're out to have a good time, you know. And this bike, you can definitely go out and have a good time. Man, look at this. Gorgeous day. Hot, really hot, but just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see I'm wearing my my fancy Dixon flannel here to match the to try to match the paint on this bike. This is actually the Fender Stratocaster Dixon that came out, I think, last year. I do have another orange one, but this is just the one that I grabbed. Matches, kinda, you know. Get the idea, right? All right. We're gonna cut through this small town of Oliva here, and we're gonna find you on some nicer roads here, even yet. All right, so some of you probably know that in the past, at least once so far, I've done videos on the best roads to ride in Wisconsin. And I have footage and a bunch of stuff to make another one of them, but so far I haven't done it. This road here is one of my like secret little favorite roads. This is County Road V, just south of Oliva, and right off of Highway 93. This is heading to the east right now, and then kind of south or whatever, but this will branch onto a couple other ones. And I mean, from here you can get to a lot of really cool roads. This is really just the start of, again, the driftless area, and it's an easy road for me to get to relatively fast if I want to go out and go through some real curvy stuff. It's a fun spot. Hopefully I can get some drone footage out here later today for this video as well, and maybe even for some future best road videos that I do. But let me know if, I know a lot of my viewers don't live around where I live, and it might not be that big of a deal to you. However, remember what I talked about with the farming stuff here? Look at that. However, if you ever visit the area for any reason, it'd be kind of cool to know some good places to ride that, you know, might not be known by everybody. So there's some really cool numbered highways that are good, but it's really the alphabet roads that are the best. Again, it's easy to do on an Indian with suspension because some of these roads aren't in the best shape, but if you got a bike that can handle it and keep you comfortable, they're really awesome. So we're going to try to get out into some of these valleys and get some awesome shots. I'm really liking this bike. It's crazy for me to think that, you know, we're at a day now, or we're at an age now rather, where bikes that are even a few years old or 10 years old even, and I'll cover some of those other ones, are so close to the modern bikes that you can go out and spend the big money on and still have really good suspension, still have awesome power and features. You know, you can buy just about a 10-year-old motorcycle now and have a navigation screen, have Bluetooth audio. One thing I didn't even mention in this video is the built-in speakers to the Challenger are actually really good. It's a nice audio system right out of the box. The Challenger does have better audio than the Chieftain version does because they are a bigger speaker. So I don't use that stuff. I have in-ear audio on my helmets, most of my helmets, so I'm still using that if I'm going to listen to tunes. But the Challenger bike, you know, even if you're buying a used one, you don't have to get a new one to get all, you know, maybe not all, but you don't have to get a new one to get a really good taste of what the Challenger has to offer. You still have the awesome, safe, lean angle ABS. You have the 108 has more than enough power for anyone looking at a bagger style bike. The way this one, nope, we got to stop here. Look at the brakes. Man, they bite really good, and they work awesome. But this one, the way it is set up with the exhaust, with the tune, it really gives me the feeling of a performance bagger. It rides really nice. It leans right down to the corners. You know, it's crazy. Look at this corner up here. Oh, a bunch of gravel. Man, there's a lot of gravel right now on these corners. This nice little valley shot. We're going to come around here too. This is going to be a cool little spot. Just got to be careful. This bike is, look at all that. What is going on there? Of course, we have gotten a lot of rain lately too, and I can see that's part of the issue is the rain's washing some of the stuff onto the road. So we can't be railing them today like normal. Yeah, that's a lot of rain damage. We've gotten a lot of rain this year, so, but look at how beautiful that is. And I'm doing this on a bike that, you know, you can get for probably over $10,000 less than what this thing would be new, maybe even less than that when you consider all the upgrades. You know, the used market, there's a lot of bikes for sale right now on the used market, whether that be Indian, Harley, Honda, Yamaha, I mean anything. There's a lot of used bikes. A lot of people bought stuff during COVID that they really didn't end up using that much. A lot of new people came into the sport, and not all of them stayed. Some people, unfortunately, are falling under hard times right now, and they have to sell their toys. And I mean, that is really unfortunate. I don't wish financial hardships on anybody, but it is a true thing right now. And that means those who can take advantage of it have some really good opportunities. Look at this cool corner. Some sandstone right up here. Yeah, that 108 just goes and cranks and rips. What a fun bike. And then the brakes just bring it right down. A little bit of engine braking if you want, but I'll tell you what, maybe shouldn't be doing that so much in here. Look at this shot right here. We're coming around this nice corner into that valley. Perfect day. Fireworks tonight. Nice and warm day. Great way to enjoy this beautiful countryside on this orange colored riot orange smoke Challenger Dark Horse. Man, yeah, you can go out and get an awesome bike for a lot less money. New's awesome. New's gonna get you a full warranty. New's gonna get you the peace of mind that goes along with that, along with maybe some of the newest features. But this thing has a ton of features, and this particular one has a bunch of really nice add-ons that make it even better. So definitely don't shy away from looking at used bikes. It can save you money, still give you probably more dollars per smile better. You know what I mean? It's a better ratio of dollars per smile that you're getting onto something like this. So yeah, definitely am a fan of this guy. Normally I'd go up there and take a shot, but it looks like they're doing some stuff, so can't get the shot from up on their church overlooking this valley. Not today. So all right, we're gonna head back to the dealership to give you some final thoughts on this guy. loose right there, baby. Got some tire slip coming out of that one. There it is. This is a great example of a used Challenger, and something similar could be for sale in a town or city near you. When you're looking at used bikes, it's always a little scary, and I get that, but these things really have been a very reliable platform. If you're buying one secondhand, you have a little bit more peace of mind buying one from a dealer. They should at least have done an inspection on it and disclosed anything that's wrong with it if they haven't fixed issues that they found when they did their inspection. And if you take it out right away and you have an issue, you have a much better chance of a dealer helping you out regardless of the warranty that was implied at time of purchase versus going down to Joe that you bought it from. If you have an issue that weekend, he's probably going to tell you to pound sand. So not saying that all driveway buyer or sellers are like that, but my experience has told me that that is usually the norm. When you're going to look at one of these private party, I recommend bringing a friend, especially if you have a friend that's a little bit more knowledgeable in this type of bike or bikes in general. Look for the common things. If you find one of these and it's leaking oil and stuff, that is not common. So it would leave me a little worried on what the kind of service life of that bike has been, or even what the usage has been like. These mechanically, again, have been very, very good bikes. Their belt drive, the cush drive system has been good and reliable. As long as that belt is adjusted correctly, these belts can go for tens and maybe even over 100,000 miles without any servicing other than just simple belt adjustments. The Metzler tires, I've seen some issues when the tires, even if they're newer, they will kind of bulge and you'll feel a little bit of shake in the front end. If you're feeling that and it has the Metzler tires still on it, know that is kind of a common thing and happened new. Maybe the dealership, if you're buying it there, will swap them out for you. If you're buying them secondhand, just know that that could be a thing. Usually it happens early on in the tire's life, but just something to be aware of. With all that being said, if you have any questions on the Challenger that you're looking at or anything, don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. Please let me know. I have pretty good knowledge in this realm. I've been around Indians for as long as these bikes have existed and then some. So, if you have anything that you're wondering about, let me know. I'll absolutely reply back to you. If you like what you see, please like the video. If you haven't yet subscribed, consider subscribing. It really does help the channel growth. I do, just so you know, below there's always been these links for some affiliate links and some stuff, some gear that I recommend and some of that stuff. If you're in the market for any of those, please use those links. It does help the channel out. It gives me a little bit of a kickback and helps me make content like this for you. All that being said, thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to enjoy the ride, and we'll see you on the next one.